Welcome to the Remote Control Podcast, where we push the limits of the mind and uncover the hidden history of psychic intelligence, from ancient oracles who challenged kings to Cold War spies buried in secrecy. We dive into remote viewing, anomalous cognition, Project Stargate, missing aircraft, Soviet time mirrors, Mars sessions, and mysteries like Tunguska. This isn't science fiction, but documented files and first-hand accounts from programs that tried to weaponize the mind.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're working with excerpts from a pilot script for a series called Dream State, Walled Garden. Our mission is to basically arm you with everything you need to know to navigate this really dense world of psychic espionage and hidden history.
And this is less about just, summarizing a story and more about decoding a narrative that's built on some very real Cold War paranoia. We're stepping into a world where governments, specifically the US and Russia, were genuinely trying to weaponize psychic abilities.
Right, and to really get what's going on, you have to understand the background, which is Project Stargate.
Exactly. For anyone who doesn't know, Project Stargate was the CIA's real-world, decades-long attempt to use psychics. They called them remote viewers for intelligence gathering. So this story, it's built on a frighteningly real foundation.
And that's where the stakes are set. The consequences of all this government secrecy, they're paid for by individuals. We're going to be tracking the story of Forest Dubois, who's on this relentless quest to find his missing father, Dr. Marcus Dubois.
And Dr. Dubois was a key figure in the original Stargate. So Forest's search, it doesn't just, uncover family secrets. It throws him right into the middle of a hidden war between what's left of that American program and a very powerful new Russian operation.
It's a great setup. A spy thriller colliding with this really personal tragedy. And to understand it, we have to start right where the tragedy began. And that's not with the American side, but with their Russian rivals back in 1997.
We open in Leningrad, the Institute of Experimental Medicine, and the setting itself is, it tells you everything. It's described as a towering, windowless, brutalist monument, basically a tombstone. There's no openness here. This is about power.
And that power is focused through this one key piece of technology, the Kozyrev Mirror. The script describes it as a massive 9-foot spiraling aluminum structure. But what is this thing supposed to do?
Well, this is where the real-world pseudoscience bleeds into the story. The historical concept of a Kozyrev mirror is that these reflective surfaces can focus not just light, but psychic energy, maybe even manipulate time. In this story, it's an amplifier, a terrifying one.
It's designed to take a psychic's power and turn it into a directed energy weapon.
Precisely. Which brings us to their weapon, an 18-year-old girl named Vera. She's described as incredibly gifted, and she's being handled by a Professor Kuznetsov and a General Volkov.
And before they even begin the test, Kuznetsov puts on this mesh-like metal Faraday mask.
Yeah, and that detail is so chilling. It tells you just how destructive this power is. He hands a mask to the general and has this iconic line. He says, "Only if you don't want your brain turned into porridge."
Wow, so even the people in charge are physically at risk from what they're unleashing.
Absolutely, and they demonstrate that power immediately. Vera is told to focus on a small green frog in a container, and you just watch as its heartbeat speeds up, it starts to convulse, and then it just dies.
It's clinical, lethal. It's psychic warfare in a nutshell.
And that lethal power is immediately given a target. They hand Vera a photo of Dr. Marcus Dubois. Kuznetsov calls him an enemy of the people.
So the Russians weren't just spying on Stargate. They wanted to decapitate it.
Exactly. And Vera, through that mirror, sends what the script calls a warped psychic projection all the way across the world to a misty mountain road near Portland, Oregon.
And the story just pivots so violently there from this cold clinical lab to something incredibly intimate.
It does. Dr. Dubois is in the car with his pregnant wife, Claudia. They're talking about what to name their son. They're deciding on Forest. It's this perfectly normal, hopeful moment.
A moment that gets completely shattered. Vera's psychic hands grab the steering wheel and wrench the car into a tree.
The fallout is just heartbreaking. In the ambulance, Claudia is dying, but with her last breath, she confirms the name. She says, "Forest is a lovely name," and then she's gone.
Dr. Dubois survives. Baby Forest is born. But the father is just broken. His entire world was just destroyed by the very secrets he was a part of.
And that trauma leads him to make this decision that just defines the rest of the story. He abandons the baby at an orphanage.
With a note.
Oh.
And the note strips the child of his real identity. He says his name is Forest Harlow.
"Please give him the home I cannot." And then a black limo speeds away. He's trying to protect his son by erasing him, but all he's really done is create this deep, deep wound.
Which fast forwards us to Forrest at age 22. And he is struggling. He's on Zoloft, Lamictal, Xanax for what's diagnosed as anger and depression. He's even in this scream like you mean it therapy group.
But he's skeptical of all of it. He's basically a learner, but a wounded one, trying to find an answer to a pain he can't even name yet.
And his detective story starts almost by accident. His adoptive mother passes away and leaves him two things: her old 1977 Mercedes and this envelope with the original orphanage note inside.
The car itself is a sort of beautiful old piece of tech, and the first thing he does is classic detective work. He pries open this little heart-shaped locket on the keys, looking for a clue.
Finds nothing.
Nothing. The real clue was hiding in plain sight the whole time on that note.
I love this part. It's not some high-tech hack. He just notices these faint grooves on the paper where a pen had pressed down hard.
And the way he reveals it is just brilliant. It's like a science fair trick. He rubs a balloon unicorn on his sleeve to get some static electricity.
A unicorn balloon.
A unicorn balloon. And uses graphite dust from a pencil. The dust clings to the grooves, and the original name that was crossed out is revealed. Forest Dubois.
It's such a great detail. It shows you his desperation. He's hacking his past with a child's toy. And once he has that name, Dubois, he shifts gears completely.
Right into the digital world. He finds Claudia Marie Dubois' obituary from May 25th, 1997. It confirms the car accident.
Then he heads to the funeral home, and this is where you see his other skills. He finds the password to their computer system, Elvis Lives 43, taped under the keyboard.
A nice little bit of old-school tradecraft. He gets in, finds the cremation file for Claudia, and sees the signature, Marcus Dubois. It's confirmed. That's his father.
But the name is just the beginning. The conspiracy is the real prize, and he finds it. An unclassified CIA memo for Project Stargate.
From 1977. And it lists Dr. Marcus Dubois as lead investigator and, this is key, a Commander George Newhall as the countersignature.
So now it all clicks into place for him and for you, the listener. His father wasn't just some scientist. He was at the head of a psychic warfare program that got his mother killed.
His personal quest just became an intelligence operation. So naturally, he starts looking for answers in that world. He goes to the 10th annual remote viewing conference.
And he confronts Dr. Riley Dawn about his father. Her reaction is, well, it's pure panic. She tells him to stop looking, to stay away from that godforsaken program.
Which, of course, just tells him he's on the right track. And that's when the game really changes. He meets his new neighbor, a woman named June.
Right, and she just walks into his apartment, sees his whole conspiracy wall covered in notes and pictures, and doesn't even blink.
No. She just casually confirms everything. He tells him, yeah, the Russians were using psychics to spy on us, so the army panicked and started Stargate. It's all just a little too perfect. A little too convenient.
Because she's not just some random neighbor. She's Professor Kuznetsov's associate. And, more importantly, she's Vera's daughter.
The next generation. So Forrest is no longer the detective. He's the target.
And the trap is sprung online. He joins a remote viewing forum, calls himself Lost Pilgrim. He gets an immediate warning from another user, R3DHUK, saying nothing is secure. They see everything, but it's too late.
Yeah, another user, RCS, has already lured him to an abandoned brewery. He's captured by Arcus and a woman named Thalia, who is their remote viewer.
This is a full-on interrogation. Arcus is demanding to know who he works for, even threatening him with sodium pentothal, truth serum.
But this is where you see Forrest's street smarts kick in again. Arcus makes him unlock an encrypted military phone, and Forrest gives him the code, 1966. It unlocks the phone, but that specific number is a backdoor command. It wipes all the data. He's adapting so fast.
And I guess that makes him valuable, because he's not eliminated. He's taken to meet the mastermind of this whole American operation.
Commander George Newhall. The name from the memo. He's 75 now, badly scarred from a fire, and in a wheelchair. But his obsession with Stargate is stronger than ever.
And his goal, he says, is redemption. He wants to resurrect Dubois' dream, but he frames it as using remote viewing as a weapon of peace.
Which is such a fascinating contradiction. He's talking about peace, but he's running this heavily armed clandestine group that just abducted Forrest. He argues that you can cut funding, but, quote, you can't stop people from believing.
So you have these two clear factions, the Russians, who use psychic power for pure destruction, and Newhall's group, which is hiding its aggression behind this veil of moral superiority.
And both of them see Forrest as the key to finding his father. Meanwhile, the Russian side is making its own big move. Kuznetsov has smuggled the Kozyrev Mirror into an abandoned U.S. military shipping container.
Right, on American soil. And June steps into the mirror. She says she's taking over where Vera left off, that her mother is the light that guides us.
It's this critical moment of inheritance. As she stares at her mother's photo, the script says her face literally shifts, taking on Vera's appearance. The generational war is now fully active.
And while June is embracing that destructive legacy, Newhall's psychic, Thalia, is trying to build a bridge to Forest.
A very strange one. She talks about the Greek myth of humans being split in two, searching for their other half. And she relates it directly to the bond with your father.
Then she pricks both of their fingers with a rose thorn. To join them, she says, is this intensely intimate and frankly dangerous form of espionage.
And through that bond, she gives Forrest the truth he's been searching for. She confirms his father hid himself to protect him and that his mother died because of those secrets. But then she taps into his deepest fear.
She asks him, "You want to know if he still loves you?"
It's just a gut punch. It cuts right through all the spy stuff to the real human motivation driving him.
Thalia then gives him the clue he needs. She says Dubois is with the girl again, and she carves two sets of numbers into the dirt, 468523 and 1217603, the location.
But that psychic connection immediately backfires. Because while Thalia is linked to Forrest, June uses her new power to psychically hijack one of Newhall's Marines, Lennox.
She makes him draw his gun and point it right at Forrest's head.
So Thalia has to fight back. She uses her own power to force Lennox to turn the gun on himself. She barely breaks control, and she's just sobbing, screaming, "I'm hopelessly out of control." You see the immense toll this takes.
And then everything just explodes.
Yeah.
A sniper, Ace, takes out Professor Kuznetsov with a single shot. June is hit in the shoulder and back.
Another character, Birdie, one of Forrest's old classmates, tries to drag her away, but there's an explosive device on the mirror.
And the whole warehouse just goes up in a fireball. At the same time, Thalia is on a bridge, completely overwhelmed by guilt.
She's with Dr. Whitaker, and she asks this central question of the whole story. What's the difference between a gift and a curse?
Forrest shows up, gun drawn, trying to help her. But she has her answer. She tells him, "You can always return a gift." And she jumps. The river just sweeps her away.
Choosing oblivion over a power she couldn't control.
So this whole deep dive, it's tracked the revival of this psychic Cold War. You have Newhall's resurrected Stargate on one side and June's lethal Russian operation on the other. Both of them desperately hunting for Dr. Dubois.
And it all just brilliantly illustrates the devastating personal cost of these secret government programs. Forrest's story is really about inherited trauma, his anger, his depression. It was all a direct result of his father's secrets, and that pain is what turned him into a hacker, a detective, and finally, a target.
And the whole story really pivots on that last, desperate act from Thalia. Right before she sacrifices herself, she gives Forrest those two sets of numbers, 468523 and 1217603, supposedly his father's location.
So we have to leave you with this final provocative thought. Considering her state of mind, her final act of trying to escape this power, were those numbers really the location of Dr. Dubois? Or were they a final, tragic misdirection, intended to lead Forrest away from the very same curse that destroyed her?